Hey friends, on today's video, I am answering questions that my Instagram community asked me, so stay tuned for this video and all the questions that I'm going to answer. Hey friends, welcome back to A Reseller's Passion. I am Leslie Tucker, and today I am answering questions for the community. A few days ago, I put a questionnaire on my Instagram stories and asked people if they had any questions for me. I actually did it 2 days in a row because the first day I didn't get a lot of questions, and then the second day I got a few more. Some were like spammy, so I'm not answering those. They were for companies asking me to stop by and use them. And, these things happen all the time. Spam doesn't bother me. It's just one of the rules of the game. As you get bigger, people start reaching out to you and just like asking you to follow them, to buy from them, to shop overseas, that kind of stuff. So today, I'm going to answer all the questions. It's really not a lot. And if you listen to my podcast, it's going to be the same information because I am taping the podcast while I'm talking to you right now on my YouTube channel. So stay tuned for the answers to these questions. So here we go. Lovely Sammy on Instagram just says, I'm awesome. So I want to say thank you, Sammy. I really appreciate you. I appreciate this community so much. The welcome has just been phenomenal. I basically can't get through my day every day if I didn't have the community. When I get up in the morning, one of the first things that I do is check Instagram because I usually get some great DMs, people just reaching out. A lot of people do ask me questions, but just the ones where people either share their story or thank me for something. It's so heartwarming and it's so humbling. It just helps me to remember what's important in life. And I'm so appreciative of that I don't take any of this lightly. I don't take the community lightly. And the fact that anyone is interested in hearing what I have to say is a wonderful thing. So thank you, lovely Sammy. The next question, Mama in the Mitten, Emily, and it says, what kind of mom were you when your kids were growing up? The funny thing is, you would probably have to ask my children. You can reach out to my daughter. She is Peach Boutique, and she is that on Instagram and on Poshmark. She's probably the only one that's really like reachable. I did raise 5 children before I met my husband, Thomas. And then when I met him, he already had 5. So we have a blended family of 10. I really haven't had that much hand in my stepchildren's lives because their mothers are still around. So I'm basically just kind of like here for support and to lend, a friendly ear or provide anything they might need from me. But I think as a mom, I'm the same as I am as a person. I really have always treated my children with respect because I think it's really hard growing up in the world. I know what it was like when I was growing up in the 70s and 80s. It was quite the challenge. And so I wanted them to have a different and better life than me, but I also made sure that they had a life that they could take care of themselves. So I was strict in some sense in terms of they had to participate in the household. Some people I do hear that it's like, child labor, and I don't believe that to be true. I think if you live in a home, you should be a person who participates in everything in the home. If you wear clothes, then you should wash your clothes. So when my children were growing up, I basically raised them the way that my mother raised me, real old school in terms of learning how to take care of yourself. Because from the time I became a mom, I started preparing my children to live as if I won't be here one day, because the reality is I won't be here one day. So it was a two-parter. It was preparing them for when I'm finally gone, but also so that when they leave, they can take care of themselves, that they should never be a burden on their roommates or their spouse, that they should be able to participate in the 50-50, 100% if they live on their own, but if they live with somebody else, 50-50, 1/3, whatever, they go off to college, they know how to take care of themselves. So my children learn how to cook at a very young age. Everybody in my house was independently cooking by the time they were 10. They know how to read recipes. Everyone learned how to wash clothes by the time they were 5. They were independently washing clothes by the time they were 8. We used a calendar system, so when they went off to school and they came home, they knew what their chores were. It would be on the board. Everyone had their chores for the day. It was like a regular monthly calendar or days of the week. And say for instance, because my son is Craig, say for instance, Craig on Monday, he was trash. Stacy would have dishes on Monday. Stephanie would have whatever she needed to do on Monday. And then I broke down weekend chores, which was everyone had, of course, had to clean their bathrooms. Everyone had to make sure their rooms were clean. Everybody had a laundry day because there was so many people in the house. So we did all of that. The way that I schedule my time now is kind of based on how I scheduled my children's lives. So I had to schedule, of course, all their activities and things like that. But I just raised them to be like responsible people. I had to teach them like the ways of the world as much as I understood. We've lived in the city, we lived in the suburbs, and I taught them how to live in a diverse community, that no matter where they went, they should never blink an eye of anything that they saw, because I grew up in a diverse community. It didn't matter if you were Black, white, gay, Asian, that you should be inclusive, and that's what I treated my children. They went to nursery school that was very inclusive. It didn't matter if it was 2 mommies, 2 daddies, Black, white, whatever. I just raised them as individuals, and I have treated them with respect, and that's how I want them to be respectful. There's no profanity coming to my house. There's no, you can't drink. I mean, I do have children of age. We don't keep alcohol in the house, so that's kind of never been an issue. There's no smoking, there's no drugs. So just kind of just teaching them, and really just to be beautiful humans. My children that I gave birth to, not to anything against my stepchildren, because I didn't really raise them, but they are beautiful people. But I think my children are the most wonderful 5 humans that I've ever met, just because they are finding their own way in the world. My son is joined the army on his own. He's in Korea. My 17-year-old daughter, they told me she wouldn't live past a certain age or be able to function in the world, and here she is going off to pre-med. My daughter, my 22-year-old daughter, is on the autism spectrum. She came out of a chef program and she works at a local college. My daughter Stacy, beautiful, very artistic, has YouTube channels. My oldest daughter Tyra is a mother to my beautiful granddaughter Sanaya, and my Tyra is like an incredible mother, really patient and kind, and that's how I raised my children. I didn't never laid a hand on them. I just talked to them with respect and just, So I don't know. I wasn't a perfect mom, and they could probably say so, but I was the best mother that I was, and I was the parent that I didn't have, and so hopefully that answered the question there. Sweet Rebel Fashion, Ansley, my PFS. Biggest flip. She wanted to know what my biggest flip was. Now, for me, I don't have any like big giant flips that were like $500 or anything like that. But my biggest flip and my favorite flip was a pair of Christian Louis Vuitton. Hopefully I say that correctly. Someone locally in my area contacted me one day, and they had all these like clothes and different things. They found out that I was a reseller, and we had already communicated and had been talking because I was a handmade seller. And so that's how we got connected, but we lost contact. And I guess she started listening to, looking at my YouTube and my Instagram page and seeing me. And then one day she just contacted me and said, hey, we need to talk. And she brought me like all this stuff, like vintage Gucci bags and stuff like that. But the Christian Louis Vuitton shoes were in these items. Brand new shoes. I paid nothing for them. She literally probably gave me about, oh gosh, I can't even give you a number amount. Like I could have transferred everything over probably for a few $1,000s. And the Christian Louis Vuitton shoes that I paid nothing for, I got $275 for. So it was crazy. It was like people who were offering me like, a little bit of money, but I had to really do my research to make sure they were authentic. And I probably could have gotten more, but I was like, you know what, I'm good. I didn't want to rock the boat. And if they didn't sell within a couple days, I would just relist them, and I sold them on Poshmark. So like 2 days would go by, people would be offering me like really, really low. And I would say, nah, if they don't sell in the month, maybe I'll take it. And then every 2 days, I would just relist the item, and then a full price of $275 came. So the Christian Louis Vuitton animal print, I think they were snakeskin print shoes, open toe shoes were my best and my favorite flip to date. Again, Sweet Rebel Fashion Ansley, my PFF. What's the weirdest thing you ever sold? I don't really know. I'm like, I don't have anything like weird that I can report that I've sold, just like regular things. I would say that it hasn't been weird items that I've sold, but it's been weird to me items that I find that I can get money for. So if you ever shop the bins, which is the Goodwill outlet, right? You go and it's like a treasure hunt. And it's like once you've been reselling for a while, you can tell just by looking at something and feeling it that you'll find an item and you just say to yourself, I could probably do something with this, And so I found so many different things, like the things that flip really well for me that I find at the outlet are bags and wallets. So I don't have anything weird, but I find it weird the things that people will give away, things with new tags that you can get really good money for. So hopefully, Ansley, that answers your question. But to me, nothing weird, but just the weirdness that, somebody probably was rich and they cleaned out their closet and now it's sitting in the bins with all this other stuff. Some stuff can be grimy and nasty, but then you go through and you pull out this thing and you're like, wow. Okay, so retired by 45. Her name is April, and she asked me for wholesale tips to go to the next level. Now, I don't really sell wholesale, so that would be a challenge for me to answer for you. One thing I would say is basically do your research. It's no different than regular reselling. You need to see what's in trend, what's on focus to make sure you're going to get the best bang for your buck. You want to make sure if you purchase something wholesale that you're going to get a good return of your income. And so I can give you a couple things to just look for in terms of places to buy. So Indo Trading, Via Trading, eFashion, people don't really know about them, Jomar, B&G Trading, Wana Trading is another company that I know. They sell like more jewelry and clothing and things. And just Google some wholesale companies, specifically USA based, because you want to make sure your stuff comes fast. You don't want cheap items. Okay, build a relationship with people. My thing is, if you want to do wholesale, that's great, but this is the time to really look maybe for some consignment stores online or some buy and trade sell stores online. There are a lot of stores. Plato's Closet is going to be putting things online. So just check out and see. If you're going to consider wholesale, make sure you have a tax ID. Some people do require you to have that. And then other wholesale companies require you to have a business license. Glow Girl Glow. Her name is Shantae, but she goes by Nikki. She's a good friend of mine. And Nikki wants to know, how do you come up with video content? Is it a strategy that I'm using or just feeling? It's actually both. So basically my strategy is going through the community and finding out what people are asking questions about. And that's how I used to come up with content for the podcast. And then some days I'll wake up in the middle of a night and have an idea that comes to my head. But I basically try to provide content that the community is looking for. And that's how I've been doing it all along. Maybe questions I'm asking myself, but then also questions that the community is also asking. And they're really, so sometimes it's a feeling. So if I come up with the idea, it's probably like a feeling, but the strategy is more based on what I go looking for in the community. What better way to find out what kind of content? Just like today, I'm answering questions that the community sent to me. So that's what I do on a normal basis. I go in to people and I just scroll through. Like, Instagram and social media is part of my business. It's an extension of my business. To other people, it may not be. It may be a waste of time and they're on there too much. Now, I take 2 days off during the week, so I just chill. I may post, but I'm not on there like I am during the day looking for information. That's how I decide what kind of books I'm going to write, what kind of content I'm going to create digital-wise. So I just go through through social media all day long and see what the people want, and that's the kind of content I produce. House of Cloth LLC, Alex, am I still doing my podcast? Of course, I'm still doing my podcast. I just set up a few interviews coming in the next few weeks, and I'm doing podcasts additional information for ideas. I actually been kind of taking a break because I've been working on making sure my office is clean. I just started a consultation business, which is actually picking up. So that's like one of my streams of income, because my goal is to diversify as much as I can. The podcast is monetized, but it doesn't bring in a whole lot of money. And that isn't the whole reason why I do the podcast. As it's built up, it's been a wonderful way to bring income into the household. So yes, in the next couple of months, I'll be building more up on my content and the podcast. It's a wonderful thing because this is April 2020, April 29th, 2019 was the first episode that I put out. So I'm going to try to maybe that week of the anniversary, put out some content every single day. So thank you for your question on that, Alex. And the last question is Buck Fever KC, which is Bridget. And Bridget says, any PayPal considerations for a 15-year-old who wants to be a reseller? Not really sure of your question, Bridget. One, I would definitely say your reseller at 15 is wonderful. I would definitely say your 15-year-old might be a little bit too young to open up a PayPal account. I would definitely check it. You do not want your account to be affected if you open up an account and she's not old enough or he's not old enough. I would say maybe open one yourself. That's what my husband did a few years ago when my stepdaughter was starting her eBay, just to kind of get started and just to make sure that you have a place for the money to go on. And also there are online cards and debit cards specifically for teenagers, and you can link them to your card, and that way you can keep control over it. But unfortunately, until they're 18, there's not a lot of accounts that you can create unless you go to your regular bank. That's what I had to do for my daughter. So we have an account through our local bank. But for PayPal, you may have to just open up an account yourself. So hopefully, Bridget, that answers the question for you. I can't wait to find out what your 15-year-old is going to do, what platform, and what they're going to sell. So hopefully, friends, this has answered those questions. And if you have any more questions, leave a comment below. If you like this video and any content that I'm creating, hit the subscribe button, ring the little bell so that you can get reminders, and give it a thumbs up. I would really appreciate that so much. I thank you so much, as always, for watching my videos. I appreciate you 100%, and you humble me every single day just by saying hello and listening to my podcast and watching my videos. Take care, friends.